I've been dreaming about adding large Warhammer models to my collection for such a long time. They're not only fantastic centerpiece models, but they look fantastic on the battlefield, and they usually swing a battle in your favor. But I've been feeling really intimidated about building the large models. They seem so much more complicated than the small models that I'm used to building. I can't help worrying that I'm going to make a mistake and ruin a big, expensive model, and also as a newer player, I'm really worried about how long it's going to take to actually build the thing. I've set myself a challenge. Like many of you, I'm limited on time, where I have maybe one evening a week where I've got a solid couple of hours to really sink my teeth into a project. So the challenge I've set myself is to assemble my first large Warhammer model within 2 hours this evening. I'm going to be building a Riptide Battlesuit for my Tau army, and there are bigger models that I could tackle, like the Storm Surge, but this is a really nice step up for me, having not built anything larger than a Crisis suit before. If I don't manage to complete this challenge this evening, I know the model's just going to end up back on my pile of shame, and nobody wants that. However, if I can conquer this challenge, it means I'll have a much stronger army, so when I'm facing my friends, I have a much better chance of beating them. Let's jump in, face my fears, and learn what it really takes to build a large Warhammer model. As I start the challenge, the first thing that shocks me is how few parts there are. Before cutting things off the sprue, I always like to look at the instructions from start to finish. By just taking a moment to look through the instructions, I can get a real grasp of what I've got coming up, and I can visualize progress as I build the model. So the first thing to do is build the lower body. For each of the legs, I'm snipping the parts off the sprue, and then I'm going on to clean up the little nubs and mold lines. Finally, I'm gluing the pieces together, which then make up both of the legs. I know it's early, but I'm actually finding this super smooth because the instructions are so clear. Once the legs are built, I move on to the pelvis, I guess. With that built up, I just go ahead and add the legs onto it. And there we have it. The lower body is actually finished for the model. Looking at the countdown, it's taken me a little over 30 minutes so far to get the entire lower body built. And although I am pretty happy, that's only stage 1 of 4, so let's push on and build the upper body. First thing I'm going to do here is build out the chest piece. And then I go on to building these exhaust things, I guess, which snap onto the chest. I then finally build out the jetpacks, which go on the sides at the back and just complete the upper body. With both the lower section and the upper section of the model built, I'm just going to glue these together, which makes up most of the model. And that took around another 30 minutes to build the upper body. We're going to now move on to stage 3, which is building out the main weapon. And one thing I like to do on larger models is magnetize, so I have the flexibility to switch the weapons in and out. These models are a lot more expensive, so buying a model for each weapon loadout just seems a little bit crazy. The magnetizing will take a little bit of extra time, but it's definitely worth the effort to do. Before we do that though, let's build all of the parts. Honestly, both of the weapons are really easy. The ion accelerator just has 2 parts. Both arms come together simply enough, and the shield was a little bit fiddly, but honestly, it's a really cool part of the model, and I'm so happy with how it's come together. All of that building has only taken 15 minutes, which includes gluing the shield arm to the model. From here, we're now ready to add magnets to the model, and this is honestly something that used to make me really nervous, but I've got the process locked down really well. If you'd like me to record a video on my magnetizing process, just comment down below and I'll make a dedicated video to that as well. To magnetize, the first thing I do is drill holes in both the arm as well as the weapons for the magnets to sit in. I drop a little bit of glue in to hold the magnets in place, and then I pop the magnets in, being careful to get them the right way around. And I've got to take a moment here just to appreciate how nice it is to have the main weapon magnetized. You can see how easily I can just switch between them in quite literally seconds. This in itself has saved me from buying another Riptide, because I can switch between a machine gun as well as a Riptide with an ion accelerator, and it's honestly really fantastic. Let's move on to the final stage of the model, and this stage looks like the quickest yet. I'm going ahead and just cutting all of the weapons off the sprue, and as they are a single piece, they don't need building up. I then pick the head that I want to use and position it on the model. And with that, the model is done, and what a model it is. I honestly think in my entire collection, this is my favorite. So I finished the 2-hour challenge with just under 10 minutes left, and honestly, if I hadn't magnetized, I think I would have finished the whole thing within an hour and a half. Coming into this challenge, I had 3 main concerns. The first concern I had is large models just seemed super intimidating. Even before hitting record today, I was actually looking at other projects that I could do instead of this one, and I'm so glad that I overcame that fear and just pushed ahead and built the large model. The second concern I had was a fear of ruining a large model, and I would say that fear is definitely unfounded. It's actually really hard to mess up a large model because you're just following the instructions. The third concern I had was a lack of time. I honestly thought I was going to fail this challenge and it would take me at least 3 hours to build this model. After this challenge, if anything, I'm really excited to build large models, much more so than small models. If you're anything like I was coming into this challenge and you're nervous about building a large model, please just give it a go. It's such a fun experience. In the meantime, check out this video where I got over my fear of painting. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching me build my first large model. Please do hit the like button for the algorithm gods, and I'll see you in the next video.